Hey, hello, all the PhD students. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to have you all here for the first information session. This is just to kind of gear you for your arrival. We will, of course, have a more formal orientation in the end of August, where we'll go over a lot of these things in more detail, at least in policy procedure than those things. So just by way of introduction, my name is Wahid Bajwa. I'm the graduate director of the EC graduate program. And with me are two other people. So Katie, you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Katie Probst. I am the graduate coordinator for the ECE department. So I can help you with all of your administrative and onboarding needs, including in the future, scheduling your PhD qualifier and thesis defense. And right now, helping you onboard into Rutgers going through the admissions process.
Wonderful. And then we also have Anand Sarvate with us, professor in the department. Anand, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, my name is Anand Sarvate.
We can't hear you, Anand. Sorry.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now. We just heard
Okay.
you.
All right. So my name is Anand Sarvate. I'm associate professor in the department. I do research on information theory and machine learning and statistics and probability, stuff that involves statistics and probability. Yeah, and I guess I'm here to have a couple of comments on some strategies and challenges at the end. So yeah.
And I see we have about 11 PhD students, so we won't have time to indulge too much into it, but it would be good if everyone could just say their name, where they are currently at, and if they already have an advisor, then just say the name of the advisor. So I will go in the order in which I see people on my screen. And so the first person I see on my screen is Swapnil.
Hello, Professor. I'm Swapnil Shah. I'm coming from Bangladesh, and my advisor is Professor Emina Soljani.
Wonderful. Pega? Pega, you can hear us? Let us know.
Or maybe if people are in kind of a loud place,
Okay,
they can
we'll
just put it in the chat.
Person.
I'm saying if people are not able to talk because of wherever you are, maybe just put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can also just write your introduction in the chat if you have some technological issues, or if you are in a place where it's not convenient to chat, maybe too late or timings. Okay, Mohammed Hamza Rafi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hamza. I'm from Pakistan, and my advisor is Dr. Wahid.
Thank you. And Lakshita.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lakshita Rabanayaka. I'm from Sri Lanka, and my advisor is Professor Wahid.
Thank you. And Usha.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Kusha from Iran, and my advisor is Professor Jamal.
Yeah. Shikhar.
Hello, everybody. This is Shikhar from Nepal. My advisor is Professor Salim.
Yeah. Okay, Himanshu.
Hi, I'm Himanshu. I'm currently in US, and I don't have an advisor right now, so I'm still looking for an advisor.
Thank you. Harihara.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hariharan, and I'm from India, and my advisor is Professor Narayan Mandyam.
Thank you. Takia.
Hi, I'm Takia. I'm currently talking from Dhaka, Bangladesh, but I went to Rutgers for my undergrad, and my advisor is Professor Ortiz.
Yeah. Amir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amir. I am in New Jersey actually, and I currently don't have an advisor yet, and looking to get one soon.
Thank you. Zara? Zara, if you can hear us, either reply in chat. Yeah, please go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Zahra Davari. I'm from Iran, and my advisor is Dr. Dabaman.
Wonderful. Becca, if you are able to tell us later in the chat if you hear us, otherwise, we'll just get going. Okay, thank you, everyone. A pleasure to have you. The cohort is bigger than that, but some of the students could not join us for various reasons. So we are recording this conversation and we'll have it shared with them. So let's just quickly get started. I want to just give you a sense of where are the different places that will be of help to you, especially since everything is now on electronically available, where you can find that. So your first point of contact, as far as many of your during your PhD journey, is the EC Graduate Program Office. The website is listed above. We will share these slides with you, so you will be able to access that. The program office is led, involves two people. One is the graduate program director, which currently I am, and the graduate coordinator, which Ms. Probst is. Their email addresses are listed. In almost all the cases, if they are administrative related, you start by sending an email to Ms. Probst. If it involves me, then it comes over to me also. You are always welcome to CC me if you feel that that's a matter that perhaps requires my attention. In terms of how you proceed in your studies, the major document that you should always be referring to is the EC Graduate Student Handbook. The link basically takes you to a website which has two handbooks, undergraduate and graduate. You work on the graduate handbook. This handbook is revised for every new incoming cohort of students. We are currently in the process of revising it, and we expect to have the newest version available in August, hopefully first week of August or so. But the changes are going to be there will be some changes, but you can still get a sense of what the general theme is, especially in terms of how many credits you need and things like that, which we'll also go over. But you should always have a bookmark on this handbook and should be referring to it as you go along in your PhD. The third resource is the department website, which has a lot of resources, but in particular, it lists different staff within our department. So since you are PhD students, some of you TS, some of you will be GS, some of you will be doing both of those things. A few of you are fellows. You will be dealing with your different responsibilities. And in that process, you will interact with, for example, our finance person, our department supervisor, our lab person, our IT person, and so forth. Again, we will have more detailed introduction to those people during orientation. Will be in person, we'll introduce you to those people, but I'm just right now providing you, this is just more of an information session rather than a complete orientation. So the third thing you should be aware of, so there's a graduate program office, then the department where you are a student of, then you have the School of Graduate Studies, which is what basically oversees your entire education. At the end of the day, everything has to be approved by them. The School of Graduate Studies website is a wonderful resource in terms of professional development opportunities and in terms of other deadlines. For example, when you should be submitting, when you're ready to graduate, the different forms that you have to fill out as you go along and things like that. So another thing you should bookmark. Lastly, majority of you seem to be international students, and for you, the main resource in terms of immigration matters is Rutgers Global, or International Scholars and Students Office within Rutgers Global, which deals with everything having to do with your I-20, your extension, your CPT approvals, your OPT approvals, and things like that. Our department does not manage immigration issues. We only facilitate the Rutgers Global when you submit a request. They want us to verify whether that request is valid. For example, have you satisfied different requirements? But at the end of the day, it is you and Rutgers Global who deal with the immigration matters. So I cannot emphasize enough, all of you are starting this new journey, to please not be in a situation where you do not follow the immigration rules and jeopardize your future in the United States. We are again here to facilitate, but at the end of the day, immigration matters have to be dealt between you and Rutgers Global. As I am presenting this, I do want to say that if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. At the end of this talk, we'll also have, this session will also have detailed information, a Q&A session, where you can also talk about your individualized questions. We'll stay as long as you want us to stay. But if during a given slide, you have a question, put that in the chat, and either Ms. Probst will know the answer, Professor Sarvate will know the answer, or I will chime in. Okay. So all of you are pretty much already committed to Rutgers, but I just want to still point out that some of the things that you should take advantage of that makes Rutgers stand out in terms of is our outstanding graduate program with the faculty who work in these different areas. So you can actually choose to do a PhD in one of these 10 specialization areas, which range from communications, networking, signal and information processing, computational sensing, and so forth. We'll talk more about how do you choose a concentration area. It doesn't matter which area you selected when you applied. This is for this selection is for your qualifying exam. So we'll talk about it later. Another resource that Rutgers graduate students have that often I feel is not taken enough advantage of is the fact that Rutgers and Princeton University have an exchange agreement where our graduate students can actually go and take courses from Princeton. Princeton University is about 30 minutes train ride south of Rutgers. You can also drive there if you want. That's probably 30 to 40 minutes depending upon the time of the day. The parking may be an issue for you so you can take a course that is not offered at Rutgers. If there is a course that is not being offered at Rutgers, there's a specialized course, you have an expert at Princeton, you can sign up and take that course, and we will count that as a course within Rutgers. So this is a wonderful opportunity. A few of our graduate students take it, and I encourage everyone to think about it while when you plan your courses. The other team is research seminars. We routinely host seminars by world-class researchers, both as part of colloquium series and outside that, and take advantage of that opportunity regardless of whether someone is in your area or not, for your intellectual stimulation. And finally, we have our students routinely get wonderful internship and job placement opportunities. Internship-wise, we get mostly research-driven internships. Whereas for job placement, people choose both academia and they both choose academia as well as industry based upon their interests. Okay, so let's quickly go through the PhD requirements that you have to fulfill as a PhD student. The requirement for a PhD degree is 72 credits. They are spread between what are called coursework and research credits. Coursework is basically any course that you take where you go and sit in a lecture or a classroom, submit assignments, things like that. That's called coursework. Research credits are basically credits that you take with your PhD advisor. They of themselves don't mean much, but basically they are an indication that you are enrolled enough times and you are doing research with your advisor. So you always take research credits with your advisor, but other than that, there is no other requirement. And those 72 credits, there is a further division that at least 36 of those credits must be graduate coursework. So 36 credits becomes 12 courses. So you must take at least 12 courses. These credits or coursework does not include if you are TA or GA, you also sign up for something called TA credits, GA credits. They are not considered coursework. They are just an indication to signify that you are a TA or GA and part of your time is spent on that. So you have to take at least 12 courses. And then you have to take at least 24 credits of research. These are courses called 701 and 702. And each faculty has its own section. So you take 701 or 702. 701 is offered in summer and fall. 702 is the number that is offered in spring. The grade that you get for this is satisfactory. If your advisor feels you did satisfactory in that semester, you get a S grade. And if your advisor feels you fell short of it, you get an unsatisfactory grade or U. In addition, you need 4 semesters of EC colloquium where you have to maintain 80% attendance. So let's say there were seminars, you have to attend at least 8 of them in a given semester. And the grades for that are also satisfactory or unsatisfactory. If you are doing your math, 36 plus 24, it leaves you, that is 60 credits, you are left with 12 credits. So what do you do with those 12? Well, you can try to take 4 more courses, or you can decide to take those 12 credits as research credits. That's up to you. Okay, so the minimum requirement is 12 courses. You can also make it go up to 16 courses if you are interested in taking more courses for your training and your academic preparation. Any quick questions about this? Please do write in the chat. Otherwise, I'll keep moving. Typical PhD program timeline. Now, you are a PhD student. It's not like undergraduate where everything is okay. You take these many courses and you graduate. And you take these many credits, and that is good because as Professor Sarvate will talk later about it, PhD is not about taking courses. So typically what students do is they take 3 to 9 credits per semester. This is excluding the TA and GA credits. So total credits that end up being is 9 to 15 if they are TA or GA. So you take 3 to 9 credits per semester. In the beginning, maybe you take more credits so that you start with perhaps 2 to 3 courses a semester, and that reduces down to maybe 1 course a semester till you finish your requirement. We encourage students to finish their colloquium requirement in the first 3 years, not only because you want to finish the requirement, but also because that is the time when you are learning, and attending these seminars will give you the flexibility to understand how research is done, what are good presentations, what are bad presentations, and things like that. We also expect that within the first 3 to 4 years, you would have finished your coursework requirement. Okay. Once you finish your coursework requirement, you basically become ABD or all but dissertation. Basically, you're done with your courses, you're only working on your dissertation. A major milestone in your PhD is PhD qualifying exam, which needs to be cleared within the first 2 to 3 years of enrollment. And that is when you do that, you basically become, before that, you are called pre-qualified PhD student. After that, you become post-qualified PhD student. We also expect that within the first 3 to 4 years, you would have started putting together your dissertation committee. All of these things, by the way, are happening in consultation with your PhD advisor. Then we have the next milestone after PhD qualifying exam is you have PhD proposal, which is closed to public. It is open to faculty, but closed to public. It is announced to all the faculty in the department. And you typically defend it in years 4, 5, or 6. Then you have PhD dissertation, which is basically the end of your PhD degree, which is open to public. Anyone can attend, and you defend that in years 5, 6, or 7. This is a typical timeline. While I have not encountered someone finishing their PhD in 4 years, but within my immediate circles, but that is, if someone comes after master's and they already had plenty of research experience, and they started working on an area which was on a topic which was very closely aligned with what they were doing in their masters, it is doable also. But this is a typical timeline that I'm providing. Now, students who are direct PhD admits, which means they only have a bachelor's degree, you have the option of getting a master's degree with or without thesis along the way in typically year 3. So most students basically in year 2 or 3, they have finished the requirements to also get a master's degree along the way. And many of our direct PhD admits decide to do that just to get a sense of accomplishment that they have gotten a degree already from Rutgers. Any question about these general requirements? Okay. So now let's talk about specialization and how do you figure things out. So as I said, there are 10 specializations. What does a specialization mean? A specialization, basically each one of these specializations determines how you give your PhD qualifying exam. Each one of these has its own set of course requirements, which are divided among 4 core courses and 1 mathematical course. So you have to have, in those 5 courses, in those 4 courses, you have to have a GPA of 3.75 or above, which could be obtained, for example, in 2 courses, you got A's, and in 2 courses, you got B pluses. That's 3.75. In the mathematical course, you also need a grade of B plus or higher. In overall, to get a PhD, you need a GPA of 3.5 plus. Otherwise, you can't get a PhD. Now, how do you decide which research specialization area to take, which coursework to plan? All of that is a collaboration between you and your advisor and the area and the research topic you have chosen. So as I said earlier, it doesn't matter which one of these things you selected during your admission. At the end of the day, your advisor will decide that your research topic has gotten more closer to, let's say, machine learning than signal and information processing, and you should give a qualifier in machine learning, which will have a different set of courses than signal and information processing. Or that you have done more closely related to communications rather than signal and information processing. So let's give a qualifier in that area. So all of that is a discussion that you should start having with your advisor, which comes through course planning and your research plan. In terms of your degree duration, a typical degree is 5 to, well, I am using the word typical and going to extremes also. So generally the span is from 5 to 7 years. And most students, I would say 95% of the students fall within this range of 5 to 7 years. When are you ready for different tasks, including giving the PhD qualifier exam, the dissertation defense and all that? This is a discussion between you and your advisor again. When your advisor feels that you are ready to defend your thesis, when your advisor feels that you have done enough, then you basically should plan these things. And of course, this is not just between you and your advisor. At the end of the day, the dissertation committee also has to approve it. How many papers you need to write, how many journals that you need to write, conferences, whether you should write journal papers or conferences, this is determined by the norm in your chosen specialization. So there is no universal formula for this. What you should be doing is having a conversation about all of these things with your advisor early in your program. In your opinion, what's the bare minimum that I should be doing? If my career objectives are, let's say, going into academia, then what should I be doing? And things like that. You don't want to have this conversation in year 5 when it would be too late. Okay. And then finally, if you are with a master's, you have the ability to transfer up to 24 graduate level course credits that translate to 8 courses towards your PhD degree, which means that if you were, let's say, planning on taking 12 courses, 8 of those you can transfer from your master's. There are certain requirements which are listed in handbook. We'll go over that more in our orientation. But basically that reduces the number of credits that you have to take. So instead of 72, you end up only doing 48 credits at Rutgers because you transferred 24 credits from another institute. Yeah. Okay, so those were just some of the academic thing. Now let's talk about, you are here in June, and between now and you coming to Rutgers, what are the different steps you should be doing? First of all of you by now should have submitted your decision in the application portal saying that you are coming, admit coming. If you are international, you should have submitted a financial document. And in return, you should have received a certificate of admission and I-20 form if you are international. And of course, by now you should have gotten your visa interview scheduled and all that, those things. If either of these things are missing, please reach out to Ms. Probst and we'll work out with you. But after that, what are some of the things you should be doing is applying for your net ID by going to this link, uploading your photo to get a Rutgers ID card, uploading your immunization record, and then researching and registering for classes in consultation with your advisor. And there are a bunch of steps. And then additionally, there are then, before the classes start, orientations start. You have orientation in School of Graduate Studies, you have orientation in Rutgers Global, you have orientation if you are a TA, and you have orientation within our department. This is a long list, and what we have done is prepared a flyer for you, which will be emailed by Ms. Probst by this Friday or so. So look out for that in your email. Additionally, if you are already activated your net ID, then you also have access to your Rutgers email address, and some of your communication now might be going to your Rutgers email. So start checking that to make sure you don't miss on any announcement. Okay. In that list of things, you will, the flyer, you will have basically resources that are listed here in detail. As I said, administratively, there are things like getting net ID, which will also get you access to Rutgers email, photo ID, immunization. Everyone needs to be immunized for certain, at least against COVID. You need to get health insurance if you are not a TA or GA. If you are TA or GA, then that health insurance comes with it. Financial term bill, if you are not TA or GA, then you have to pay that. If you are TA or GA, then that is, you don't have to pay anything, but you have to keep a track of it because sometimes the financial office misses some of our students and they find out very late. So this is administrative. The other big thing that you should be doing at this stage, if you're not in New Jersey, is housing. We have, of course, on-campus housing options, which are provided by Rutgers. Some of our PhD students decide to live off campus. So there is Graduate Student Association runs a marketplace. You can contact them. And in addition, there are outside Rutgers entities, which we are not endorsing, but putting here for your reference. So there is the RU Housing Facebook group and Places for Students, which is a website that connects students in universities. So at this stage, you should really be looking at housing options and finalizing the housing options for your arrival. And then the next step is coursework. So at this stage, I will actually hand it over to Ms. Probst to tell you how to, there are two things. The first one is, this is called schedule of classes, which tells you all the courses that are being offered. And if you talk to your advisor will say, look at, they will maybe use the number, or they will use the course or wherever, and you research it and try to sign up for it. And at the end of the day, you do registration in WebReg. There's plenty of time for you to actually choose your courses, but also then maybe take more courses, than register for more courses than you intend. You have first 10 days or so to actually add or drop any course without any penalty on your transcript, without any annotation of withdrawn. So you can do that, but I'll let just Ms. Probst take you through a general process, including the terminology of different universities and the campuses, and showing you perhaps a map of where the different campuses are, just to give you a brief sense, and then we'll continue. So I'll stop sharing. And
can I ask a question, Professor Bajwa?
If it's a question related to what I presented, yes. Otherwise, let's hold off onto the questions in detail for the end of the presentation.
Question is about a graduate. I mean, my PhD advisor. Do I have to look for myself, or will the department provide me for one?
We will come to that. This is one of the FAQs that will cover. So let's hold off onto that question.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katie, all yours.
Yeah. So once you meet with your advisor and decide on your specialization and determine what classes you would like to register for, you come to where the class schedules are listed at Rutgers Schedule of Classes. And so when you're going to look up what classes are offered, you should select the term that you are interested in scheduling classes for, your location, which you are at Rutgers, New Brunswick. Rutgers Newark and Rutgers Camden are essentially separate but affiliated universities within our state system. So always choose Rutgers, New Brunswick, and you're looking for graduate level courses, and click continue. And then you will come to this page where you want courses in electrical and computer engineering. So begin to type electrical and select that. All the electrical and computer engineering courses are listed as 332 as this second number. So that's something to be on the lookout for. And all grad courses have 16 as this first number. So you want classes that are listed as 16332. And then, so here's a list of all of the ECE courses that are offered in fall 2023. So if we click on one of these courses, we can see that it's open. So there are sections available, the day and time it is offered at, the building it's offered at, and the professor teaching it. One thing that I didn't mention when searching for classes is that within Rutgers, New Brunswick, there are 4 campuses. And so most of your classes, if not all, will be on Bush campus, which seems deceiving because you thought you were going to Rutgers, New Brunswick, but Rutgers downtown New Brunswick is a slightly different campus. So to be better safe than sorry, just keep all of these campus locations checked while you are searching for your classes. And so within the schedule of classes, some classes have prerequisites, which you can see here. Some professors are choosing to override these prerequisites. So if you're interested in a class that has a prerequisite, reach out to me and I'll be able to tell you more information about that. Or if you feel like you've taken graduate level coursework that has satisfied this prerequisite at a different university, also reach out to me and we will coordinate with the professor teaching the class. Is there anything else that you think we need to cover here, Professor?
Maybe take through 701, so just to show them what the research credits look like, and PA and GA credits also.
Yes. So this is the research class for fall, which is 701. Just for your reference, in fall it's 701 and in spring it's 702. And whichever faculty member you are doing research with, you will sign up within their section. So for instance, I know a couple people here We're doing research with Professor Bajwa, so you will sign up for 16, 332, 701, section B1. And so there are many professors that hold research. Additionally, if you have a full-time or part-time TA or GA appointment, you will register for 866 or 877 for GA and TA respectively. And this is just one section, so it will always be section 1.
And just to add a couple of things here, you are seeing 811. So I do know we have 2 fellows here who have fellowships. And those 2 fellows need to sign up instead of TA and GA credits. They need to sign up for this 811 course. It is important that you do that. And in addition, if you ever get into a situation, I hope not, where you have to basically perhaps go on a leave of absence for some medical or family emergency or some other matter, you have to sign up for 800 matriculation continued. If you do not have this in a semester, if you just disappear, the assumption is that you have dropped out of the program. So just be careful about that. Additionally, if we go on top, since you are a PhD student, you will also be taking courses in many other departments. So, for example, the same way you look up the courses way in, let's say, you can look up at mathematics, right? So we have 2 kinds of mathematics. One is applied mathematics, and the other is pure mathematics. So you have to, if you see the list, everything in front has a number in front of it. So we have 642 applied mathematics, right? And for example, many of our students take courses from this. And you have to be aware of that, and you have to search these things. You can also search for courses using the keyword button, which is next to the subject. So let's say you were interested in a course that had the word, let's say, stochastic in it. You can type STOC, for example, and see if any, and you will find all courses that have the word stochastic in it, and you find 2. One is 32, which is our department, and the other is 540, which I'm not sure which department is that, right? So that is, I guess it's industrial engineering. So that way you can also search. At this stage, again, if you have questions, because we are hoping that you would have investigated some of your course offerings before you come to the orientation. I hope you would be playing with it and registering for classes. You can register for more classes than you need. You can always drop them before the start of the semester, or actually even starting with the semester. In fact, many people sign up for maybe 3-4 courses, go to those courses, sit in them, decide whether they like what is being offered. Maybe the material is something they already know, they decide to drop it, and so forth. Anand, do you want to add anything further about the course selection thing?
I mean, I think one thing I would say is that if you think you've taken a course before, keep in mind that the course that we offer is the one that people will expect you to have taken. So just because courses have the similar title doesn't mean they have the same content. And sometimes it's worth seeing some material over again. And for example, when I started graduate school, I had taken a pretty hardcore probability course before, and I'd seen some of the topics when I took the graduate probability course, the stochastic processes course. I had seen some of it before, but not at the level or at the depth that was covered in the class. So what I would say is that you should view the courses as a chance to not just broaden your understanding, but deepen your understanding. And when you're working for your PhD, you're trying to develop a deep understanding of things, not just have I seen this before? Yes, no, right? So.
Thank you. Okay, let me switch to presentation again. Okay, so this is courses. Hopefully, by the time you come for orientation, you will have done that. Let's quickly go through FAQs, and then I'll after this I'll hand it over to Professor Sarvate to take you through a few pieces of advice regarding graduate school. So the first question, I did this just some that Katie and I brainstormed, and again, if you have questions beyond that, then we basically go and chat in the Q&A session. So how many courses should you be taking each semester? And the answer is it depends. You should talk to your advisor. For beginning PhD students, typically the number is 2 to 3. But again, it all depends upon what the advisor is looking for. What should you expect in your first week / semester of class, or even before that? Basically, a lot of new information. You come in about 10 days before. First of all, you are hit with all sorts of orientations. Professor Sarvate will again talk more about some of those changes that you have to deal with. But basically, perhaps coming to a way of instruction, you are learning a lot of places. You are trying to figure out which buses to take, that take you from one campus within Rutgers to another campus. You're figuring out the building names, which technology to use, where to go, all of those things. So it's easy to get overwhelmed, but my advice is talk to other people, build a community. There are 15 of you, 12 of you already here. You already have a small community. Build on top of that and go to even senior people and figure that out. Can you take courses in other departments? As I said, yes, you can. In fact, you would have to, as a PhD student, to actually broaden your horizons and learn a lot of things. In some of the cases, the course you're interested in might be oversubscribed, and so the department may limit any outside the department has to get what's called an SPN, or special permission number. If that happens, you can't register for a course. Chances are it requires an SPN. So you reach out to the department and try to get it. If you cannot reach out to us, we will try to coordinate with the graduate program to figure out why they're not letting you register. What does the path of your time look like as a PhD student from now until graduation? As I said, you take courses. We went over a part of it, but there are basically 3 major milestones in addition to doing all the publication and research and these things. The first milestone is your PhD qualifying exam. The second milestone is PhD proposal. The third is PhD dissertation. In between, you do perhaps internships, you publish papers, you go and give talks. And in your last year, you start looking for job opportunities and things like that. How do you get MS degree along the way? Very easy. Once you have 30 credits, you come and talk to us, and you have to do a technical paper. Typically, the technical paper ends up being perhaps some small paper you had written as part of your PhD research. If you want to do MS with thesis, then you have to talk to your advisor about that to figure out what part of your research could go into an MS thesis. You can't then use that piece into your PhD dissertation, not as a major chunk. You can't double dip your thesis. Oh, I went ahead. Okay, this is the question. Okay, can I have more than one PhD advisor? Yes, you can have. You can have them as formally. You can have them as informally. Some of our students are co-advised as a formal, where both of them are considered advisors. Sometimes people switch from one, and then after a while, they say, it would be valuable. The advantage you get is you have more people to talk to about your career plans, about let's say your letters of recommendation and things like that. Some people decide they want to just have one formal advisor and so forth. All of those things are possible. I'm coming to Rutgers without a PhD advisor. How do I find one? The way to find your PhD advisor, it is at the end of the day, the response, it is there is no one is under any obligation to take you as a PhD student, but the best way to do that is if you basically investigate who are the faculty in your area that you would be interested in working with, and then you try to see if you can actually do a course with them. You also try to do what independent study with them. So and when you approach them, you basically approach them having done some homework, gone over their research papers, things like that. And then you say that I have gone over these papers. I would like to actually maybe perhaps start coming to your research group meetings. Maybe I can take independent study with you and showcase my ability to do research and things like that. So in most cases, if you do good work and the advisor has the bandwidth to take on another student, they are happy to engage further with you. We cannot force anyone to take someone as a PhD student because, as I said, it is really a matter of whether people have similar views about what needs to be done. And while person A might think that they are good at something, the advisor or faculty may not feel that whatever the expertise are being offered are relevant to them. Okay, who can assist me in course selection? The first person is a PhD advisor. You should first talk to a PhD advisor, and after that, you are more than welcome to come and talk to me. Who tracks your overall academic progress? Again, your PhD advisor and the graduate program office. The thing that we track is more sort of quantitative rather than the qualitative. The PhD advisor is the one able to basically track whether you're on track for your research and things like that.
Professor
If you are
Bajwa,
interested in having, yes.
If I don't have a PhD advisor, what about financial support? What about
even having a PhD advisor doesn't guarantee you financial support. Again, it is between the person who is agreeing to have you do PhD and you to come to an agreement about whether they have funds to support you. So financial support is a different question than having a PhD advisor.
What about TA-ship? That does not have to do anything with the advisor.
TA-ship, well, at some level it does, but TA-ships are first, because the thing is, if you are not working with any faculty, priority is given to people who have already found PhD advisors. So it's a complicated calculations that happen depending upon, and the decisions are made by the department chair, but priority is given to people who already have, because someone has to be able to say, this is a great person that we want to keep in our department. I don't have funds for that person, but I would really like this person to get a TA-ship, and I will eventually be able to provide for research. I do want to get over, I will be happy to engage more in this discussion. I do have to basically Professor Sarvate is here helping us do the next part of the presentation. So I want to get over that. We do have Q&A session after that I will be happy to engage more with individual students. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, so I can also speak to this. When I started in my PhD program, I did not have an advisor. And I was, in fact, very few students had advisors, and everybody had to find an advisor. And I was a little bit slow on the get-go. I tried working with a couple of different people, and the people's working styles are very different. And I ended up at the beginning of my second year with no advisor, and it was a really, for me, it was very stressful. Because in the end, it's not like in, say, history. In history or in literature or something like that, where you do your PhD, or even in mathematics, where you largely do your PhD on your own and your advisor is there just for advice. In engineering, it's more of a supervised research experience. So the burden is on the student to try and find someone who is willing to say, yeah, I'm going to mentor you for the next 10 years. And so you have to show that you both are really interested and, capable. And it's a big commitment on both sides. It's a big commitment on your side, and it's a big commitment on the advisor's side. So you have to sort of understand the magnitude of that commitment, and then what does it mean to be someone you trust, right? You trust the advisor, and the advisor trusts you.
So basically, I'll have to find a graduate advisor first before expecting a financial support. Is that right?
So
sorry, I wouldn't say I would say 99% of the cases that is the situation, because someone will have to TA-ships involve recommendations from faculty, right? So it will be very difficult to get a recommendation from someone unless you have actually worked with them. But I wouldn't completely rule out that process, that you could get a TA-ship without having an advisor, but typically it does not happen that way. Anand, you were saying something. I think I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say, I think having I don't think you should think of it as before you can expect to have funding. The point is you want to find a supervisor who is going to advocate on your behalf, and is going to either support you through a grant or ask the department for a teaching assistantship for you. The way it works, is that I write a grant to, say, the U.S. National Science Foundation or another funding agency, and in the budget it says I would like to hire one graduate assistant for 3 years, for example. And I have to go out and find that money, right? I have to write a proposal, 15-page proposal. The success rate on proposals is around 15%. So it's a challenge. So I wouldn't call it as I expect the financial support. It's more like I find a project that I can work on with that I have found a person to work with on a project that is interesting to me.
Okay, and what is the timeline that I can, for the financial support?
I mean, I don't quite understand the question. It's not like you fill out a form and magically you get funded, right? It's not that. That's not what happens, right?
Well, but like when are the like TA-ship and GA-ships awarded typically?
It's a year-long contract. So in the spring semester, say March, beginning of March is when the department asks faculty members to say, how are you going to fund your students for the next year?
Okay, so which means that it has already been done for this year.
I'm sorry, I just want to interrupt that. Again, we are getting into very personalized questions, which we are at the end of the session. No, but I do want to get through. I do want to get through the.
No, just want to understand that has the TA-ships for this year been awarded already?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so again, I welcome questions, but let's hold off personalized questions till the end of the information session. Okay.
So I'm free now.
So as far as if you have interest in holding office hours or if you have interest in meeting me in person, I will be holding office hours starting from August 7th weekly, and you can do that. You can always email us, of course. And then the last, if you feel lost in the program, who should you reach out to? There are many resources. Professor Sarvate will talk about it. But in order, I would say you should talk to your PhD advisor. An advisor is meant to be more than just a person with whom you just do research or who provides money to you. An advisor is meant to be a mentor, sounding board for other things. At some level, even, there are different level of relationships that people develop with your advisors, and which also turn into lifelong friendships and things like that in some cases. So that is one of the first person I would say reach out to students in your group. We are here, the graduate program office, graduate program director is here to help you if this involves something that you feel not comfortable talking to your advisor. There are real mental health challenges and stresses and anxiety which come with doing something like a PhD, and Rutgers has some resources for that. But I think this is a good segue for us to basically move over and hand it over to Professor Sarvate, who will basically take us through some of the challenges that students face and then some of the advice for the students. After that, we'll switch to the Q&A session.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about, acknowledge that the first year of graduate study is very challenging for multiple reasons on kind of many fronts, and it can become a bit overwhelming. The first, of course, you think about is academic. If you are coming straight from your undergraduate program, graduate courses and graduate coursework is very different, has a different feel to it than undergraduate courses. In particular, there's a lot of expectation that you're kind of an independent scholar on your own, and that you're going to be doing a lot of self-study outside of class. So it won't be that, for example, most graduate courses do not have a teaching assistantship or some kind of studies, recitation section or something like that. You are going to have to do perhaps a little bit of, looking for other resources online to help yourself understand the material. Not that there aren't office hours, not that the professor is not there, and not that the other students are not there, but you will have to still do quite a bit of work on your own. And another difference, I think, which I found a bit challenging myself, is that, the goal, like I said before, is to get a deep understanding of the material. And so the goal of the course is for you to understand the material, and people are understandably stressed out about the grade because you want to maintain your GPA for the program, but nobody is going to care about your GPA after your PhD. So it's not that you shouldn't care about your grades, but you should really focus on trying to understand the material. And maybe this sounds patronizing, and you're like, of course, I always try to work on the material, but it still becomes, there's always a tension there. And the other thing that I find from myself from teaching graduate courses here is that students often want me to suggest a project for them, for example, final project for the course. And I think the expectation in general is that students have some interests on your own, that you're doing some looking around, you have either a research question you're interested in or something that you would like to learn more about, and then that will end up forming the basis of your class project. So I think, the expectation is that you are maintaining an active dialogue between your research and whatever you're doing for your research and whatever you're learning in the class. So focusing now on the research, you are going to be working, if you have an advisor already, you're working that you probably don't know that person very well, maybe with the exception of one person here who's already been working, I think, with Professor Ortiz. So you don't really know exactly what their working style is. And what I mean, for example, one professor I tried to work with in my PhD my first year, and it didn't work out very well. Basically had the attitude of only come talk to me when you have something interesting to say. Right. And so that puts a lot of, that's one way of running a research group. But other people might want a more hands-on thing. Some people have group meetings, some people don't have group meetings. Trying to understand what is the culture of the group that you're entering, and also trying to understand what the objectives and expectations are for yourself, your expectations of your advisor, and your advisor's expectations of you. The other thing is, again, kind of much like in the coursework, you have to be able to work a little bit independently and to be resourceful. And by resourceful, I mean like try to find the resources that you need. you get stuck on something, you're supposed, the objective is to say, why am I stuck? What am I stuck on? Really identify it and say, is it that I don't know where to look, or can I actually try and look for whatever I need to get unstuck? And I think the last thing, which is of course, really the baseline of everything, these first two are kind of about the program, is basically, for most of you, almost all of you, I think, here, you're going to be much farther away from your friends and family, perhaps, than you've ever been before. It's really challenging to be so far away, and for it to not be easy to get home. There's time differences and all sorts of other things, and it's easy to feel very isolated. And it takes a bit of time to get adjusted. I've moved a lot in my life, and every time, at least for 6 months, I kind of hate it, and I'm kind of miserable whenever I move to a new place because I don't know where anything is. I feel very unsettled and out of place. And this, again, trying to then focus on your classes and on your research when you're sort of feeling unmoored is difficult. And the last bit of it is, of course, financial. If you move somewhere, you have to buy a bunch of stuff because you're moving into a new apartment. You might need furniture. People often save up for getting a car, and unfortunately, the TAGA stipends are not, super generous, and it can be a challenge financially. And this adds yet another layer of stress onto what is already can be a kind of stressful situation. So to that end, I guess we have a couple of some tips on like how to, things to focus on, and maybe strategies for kind of getting a successful start. And the biggest pieces are basically, your peers. There are pieces of it that are for you, that are things that you can do, and there are things that maybe you need help from your peers with. And in terms of things you can do yourself, is to really think about, time management. And try to understand what your priorities are, and what are strategies that you can do to organize your time to make sure that you address those priorities. There's a lot of advice out there. Different people have different things that work for them. So I encourage you to maybe, again, you can talk to other students or your advisor to see what's worked for them in terms of how they organize their time. And so really, I say talking to other students is I learned more from other students in my program than I did from my advisor directly. Being able to have conversations not only with students in your own group, but other students outside doing research that's somewhat related but not the same, really gives you an ability to learn how to communicate, and can make you feel more comfortable in what you're doing. And also the networking opportunities will let you know about other resources. Maybe there's a travel grant you can apply for, or there is an body of literature that you're not aware of. So it can be both, work related, but it can also be personal. Just knowing, again, trying to get yourself situated in a new place, being able to try and learn from more senior students or your peers, your direct peers in your cohort, what has been working for them. And you will inevitably make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in graduate school, and you need to be able to look for help. Making mistakes is normal, but it's helpful. You need to ask for help when you need help, or you kind of fall off. And I think, again, being able to get feedback, so both offer, be open to what your problems are, and then being able to receive feedback on what to do, or advice on what to do, I think is an important skill. And I think it goes all the way from, again, professional things, peer review, all the way down to very sort of personal, interpersonal things. And The last bit is about well-being and sort of making sure that you're checking in with yourself and how you're doing. Again, can become very overwhelming, and it's easy to start blaming yourself for various things, or to start to feel overwhelmed by the whole situation. And I think one thing that we do have here is pretty good counseling services. I talked to a counselor myself in graduate school when I was having a particularly hard time, because again, it's you're far away from your friends and family. You're far away from your usual support network, or the people you might normally turn to help you, and also some things are things maybe you don't feel comfortable talking with your peers, and you'd like to get some advice from somebody who doesn't really have any stake in what it is that you're struggling with. So again, if you're interested in learning more resources, I think Professor Bajwa has some in the slides, and then of course you can always come and talk to your advisor, the graduate director, your peers, and so on. So good luck, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. And I think it can't be emphasized enough that PhD is perhaps one of the, in your current life, wherever you are, is perhaps the longest commitment you are undertaking, because when in your undergraduate education is 4 years. And in addition, in your undergraduate education, whatever your class size was, you were all sort of going through similar things. And in PhD, while you are going through somewhat similar things, at the end of the day, when a theorem doesn't get proven by you, it's only you who is unable to prove it, or when a paper gets rejected, it's only you who had that paper rejected and all that. So it's very important to be resilient. And I cannot emphasize enough, all of us who have gone through the PhD process have learned it the hard way, and we are just trying to make sure that we provide the resources that all of you don't have to experience perhaps the worst cases, and know that you have resources and you have support system available to figure that out, and some advice. Okay, so this is pretty much what we had. We will now transition to any Q&As, and these Q&As could be more general, or they could be very personalized, and if you don't feel asking in public, we can always create a room, breakout room, where we can individually take your question. If you feel that you are already done with the session, you are more than welcome to drop off. I know for some of you, it's probably getting in the evening, so pretty late. I think Professor Sarwate already answered that. This is just a terminology. Different schools use it differently. Some people use RA. At Rutgers, we use GA. That's all that there is. Okay, so the floor is open for questions or comments or any other thing.
Hello, Professor. My question is, you told that some credits can be transferred from master's to PhD. So I think you told 24, if I remember it correctly. So how do I know if that can actually be transferred? Let's say maybe 12 subjects can be transferred exactly from my master's to PhD. So how do I know if that is actually transferable?
As long as they were at the graduate level, and your grade was B or higher, and after you have been in the program for at least you have taken at least 3 courses with a grade of B or higher, you basically submit a form along with your transcripts and your your syllabus of those courses. We look at those, and as long as they are standard courses, you are not doing a one-to-one transfer. It's mostly the idea that you have taken graduate level courses that and you don't need to retake them again. But like, let's say if you took a course in how to basket weaving, yes, we won't accept that. But anything in general, which is in the general area of graduate school, electrical and computer engineering related things, we will be okay with. Now Professor Sarwate might argue that we should also give credit for, I guess, theater or perhaps some of his other hobbies, which do get credit. But I think that is probably more questionable. But other than that, anything is feasible as long as we have a curriculum that showcases that it was taught at a graduate level. It doesn't have to have a course within Rutgers to be transferred.
That was another question of mine. Right now, I'm teaching a course called Information Theory that I teach to the graduate students, master's students. So does that count for credit that can be transferred?
Teaching cannot
Yeah,
be counted.
yes, cannot be transferred. Right? Okay. So
no, you have to have taken it.
Okay, so before enrolling for the classes or enrolling for the subjects, so how do I know if my subjects that I have taken at master's level that can actually be transferred? Should I email somebody? Is there a committee for that?
Again, I think we have to be careful. There are two different things we are talking about here. The transfer courses are just to say that instead of 12 courses, I only want to take 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Okay. But whether you should take a course is a simple question of, as Professor Sarwate was saying, when you are taking a course, you should be taking it for the purpose that it's going to enhance your learning. So that has no question, that has no bearing on whether you transfer the course or that course get transferred or not. If you think that you know enough information theory, you shouldn't take that course, period. You can send that course to review it or to revise some of the concepts. Now, on the other hand, if you're an advisor and you think that it will be beneficial for you to take it because the person offering the course is a real expert and you wouldn't have seen some of the things in others, then you take it. Which course you should take it independent of which courses you transfer. Okay, it should only be a matter of it's going to help you learn or not.
Right. So before registering, if I could know that these courses can be transferred, then maybe I would plan it better. So who can I email?
Again, my question is my question is, how are you linking the two things? I'm not fully understanding. What does transfer have to? Let's take an example, right? You are interested in taking course A, okay, and you are not sure if some other course is being transferred or not. How are they linked?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's say I have studied wireless communications, or let's say advanced. Let's say advanced wireless communications at my master's level. So there is also a course in Rutgers that the topic says wireless advanced communications. So in this case, I have already studied the course, and I think that the course is deeper enough that it covers almost all the courses offered at Rutgers. So before enrolling for the course, if I could know that
wait. You have already made a point that you have figured out that what you have studied is pretty advanced. So end of story. You have figured out that what you have taken is pretty advanced and the course will not offer anything more to you. You should not take it. It has it has nothing to do with whether the course is transferred or not. You should not take it because you have decided that. You should still talk to your advisor.
Okay, thank you.
And if the advisor believes, there's nothing more to do.
Okay, thank you. And I had one more question, if I could ask.
Sure.
Okay, so I have been given a TA. So for that, there is a condition that I have to take the VEPT test. So I'm not very clear what it is about and how it is taken, or what does it have to do with my TA-ship? How does it work?
What test did you say?
There's
I don't know.
VEPT, some Versant English placement test.
Oh, okay, English placement test. Yeah. So basically, it's a test that evaluates your ability to be an effective TA. This is separate than TOEFL. TOEFL is not about being a TA. TOEFL is just figuring out whether you are able to study in an institute where the medium of instruction is English.
Okay.
The English placement test is trying to figure out where do you stand as far as your TA abilities go. And after you take the test, they will determine whether you need any remedial courses or not. You will still be a TA, but you will be asked to take maybe remedial courses if your score is low enough. If your score is high enough, you wouldn't have to do anything.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think I don't have any other question. Thank you for that.
Okay, other questions, folks?
This is Amir. I've got a question.
Yes, Amir.
Oh, sure. So regarding my starting in September, right? So if I do not know exactly what my specialization, I haven't chosen yet. I haven't chosen a path yet. So which courses should I be applying for?
Right. So your situation is different because you have been offered a fellowship, which comes with a mentoring program, right?
Yes.
So what is going to happen is that in July, mid-July or so, Ms. Probst will set up a meeting between you and I and her, where if you could come in person, that would be great. If not, we will have it online. And basically, we will go over your plans for the first year. If you remember your offer, that included the first year mentoring by the graduate program.
Okay, yes, I remember that. Okay, cool.
So in that, right. So
I can come in person.
Right. So we will go over that at that point, and then we will facilitate you finding an advisor. Again, at the end of the day, as we presented, it is, as Professor Sarvata said, you and the person will have to come to an agreement. But in your case, we will be doing the facilitation because that is part of your fellowship offer.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Okay. What else?
Professor, am I audible?
Yeah, so I have a let me just quickly see. I have a chat question first.
Okay.
So there is a question about, can you explain about the employment eligibility form I-9, when to submit it? You should submit it once you have, you cannot submit it till you are in the US. This is for international students, right? If you are not an international student, you already have the paperwork. But if you're an international student, you cannot submit it because what is required is that the employment eligibility form requires you to submit two documents. One is your visa copy, and the other is what's called I-94, which is a proof that you have landed in the US. So this is dealt by Mr. Christopher Reed, which I presume you have all of those who are TAs or GAs have already communicated with him, right? If there's ever a confusion, Ms. Probst can help you communicate and clarify some of the things. But you can submit the form if you want it, but one of the items on that form is I-94, which can only be submitted once you have arrived in the US, because 94 form is something that you get when you land as an international person in the US. Does that help, Lakshita?
Professor, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Professor.
Someone else had a question that when I saw the chat, I don't know who that person was. But...
Yes, sir, it was me.
Okay.
I had a question related to this exam that was just mentioned, BEPT. Do we have to take that every year, or is it just for this incoming session?
This is just to incoming session to figure out what is your level. Once the level is determined, you are put in. You are either made exempt from remedial courses, or you are given a schedule of courses that you have to take, and basically that's about it.
All right.
And the assumption is that you clear those courses with enough accuracy that people are comfortable for you to be TA.
All right, sir. I had one more question. It was related to one of our health forms that we had to submit. It is mentioned that we have to input, mention some sort of MI. I don't know what MI stands for. So if that can be clarified.
MI, you will have to give me more context because I haven't seen that form. Sorry.
Sir, it's our immunization package, and on that package, the first you have to mention your Rutgers University ID, your cell phone, your first name and last name, and it's one.
MI means middle initial. MI means middle initial.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Which in your case, right, you would have to figure out, and you know, you will be stuck with it forever. So so be careful with that, right? I don't know what the convention is on your passport, but you have to, since your name has 3 pieces, you have to decide which one you want to have as your middle name. You can decide to be Muhammad Hamza as your first name, but then you would always have to worry about putting a space and all that. Or you can decide Muhammad is your first name and Hamza is your middle name. Okay. So if that was the case, your middle initial becomes H.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for the clarification.
Other questions, folks? Going once, going twice. Okay, looks like we are all done here. So it's a pleasure to have met you all, even though virtually. I look forward to seeing you all in person in August. Remember that especially if you are a TA and a GA, there is a you have to arrive by the date of your employment, which is, I believe this year was August 23rd, if I remember correctly. Can someone confirm on your appointment letter? I think it's, or Katie, maybe you can quickly see on one of the appointment letters, but I think you have to arrive in advance, so plan accordingly. Just as a brief though survey for people who are international, how many of you have already gotten the visa? Like maybe people can just do a raise of hand on Zoom, or maybe write in the chat.
I believe it's August 25th.
August 25th. Okay, so you have to be here before August 25th. I'm not okay. So I have just seen one hand raised. So is that it? Are we among all the participants here? We only have one person with the visa issued already. Okay. Well, I hope the rest of you get the visa soon. Please do keep us posted. In particular,